Today we're stepping on board Gul Air's Falcon Gold. We're going to find out if Falcon Gold is the best business class product you've never heard of, or is Gul Air the 3-star airline that Skytrax awards them. We're going to find out, but before we do, I've got 2 questions. Have you heard of Falcon Gold? More importantly, have you heard of Gul Air? Some YouTubers are describing this as the best business class product you've never heard of. Some describe it as incredible, amazing, and even a hidden gem. There are also many reviews which are saying this is the worst airline or the worst flight they've experienced. I decided to book a flight with Gul Air from Bangkok to London via Singapore and Bahrain. I paid £1,084 for this one-way ticket. Here's a clip from the flip-flop traveller on his recent flight.
Yes, he turned off my camera. I was honestly so shocked that he touched my phone, let alone stop the recording.
Wow, indeed. Well, I'm here at Suvarnabhumi International Airport in Bangkok, Thailand, and I'm going to check in for my flight to London. I'm going to head through door 6, turn right, and head to zone P. After watching the Flip-Flop Travellers video, I was too nervous to film check-in, so I didn't, and I just went about my business and headed to the lounge. Gul Air has been around for over 70 years and is one of the oldest airlines in the Middle East. Despite this, in the last 3 decades they rarely posted a profit. If you ask someone today to name 3 airlines that operate out of the Middle East, they would probably name Emirates, Qatar Airways and Etihad Airways. Gul Air's problems became worse after the launch of Emirates in 1985 and Qatar Airways almost a decade later, and shortly after Etihad Airways. 2018 was an important year in the history of Gul Air. They took the delivery of their first Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner and now operate a total of 8 with a further 4 on order. They also announced in 2018 that they have a new growth strategy and aim to serve 60 destinations by 2023, hoping to return to a profit in between 2023 and 2026. They hope to achieve this by expanding their Dreamliner and Airbus fleet and also serving more destinations outside their core network. Today we'll be flying on the Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner, so let's have a look at the aircraft, starting with the Falcon Gold cabin. With its luxurious seat design and clever use of tones and colours, the cabin has an elegant and yet chic look to it. The cabin is made up of 26 Apex suites laid out in a 222 configuration, with each suite having its own aisle access. The seat pitch is between 80 and 89 inches depending on which seat you select. It's 22 inches wide and comes with a 22-inch in-flight entertainment screen. Later I'm going to give you some tips on how to select the best seat. If you are travelling with a companion, then the middle seats are ideal as they are in line with each other, making it easy for you to enjoy the flight together. The next class of travel is economy. Economy is made up of 2 cabins, a front and a rear cabin. There are 256 seats spread out in a 333 configuration. The economy class seat comes with a seat pitch of 32 inches and an 11.6 inch entertainment screen. The tray table is foldable, which makes for a more comfortable journey. After checking in, I decided to head to the Miracle Lounge. Now there are technically 9 Miracle Lounges here at Bangkok Airport, some of which are first class. The remaining are business class lounges, however they are open to priority pass holders and also MasterCard World Elite holders. I enjoyed my experience in this lounge as it was nice and quiet, which was a surprise as I came around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The lounge has different seating options, from quiet spaces to areas you can work, and more casual spaces like this where you can socialise and relax. There's a separate area for first class passengers, although I don't have access to that. The lounge also has Wi-Fi, although not the fastest. The lounge operates a self-service buffet for both food and drink, including a self-service bar. While you look at what's on offer in the lounge, I'm just going to explain that after watching the Flip-Flop Travellers video, I didn't bring out my camera until I got past the attendants at the aircraft doors, so there is no footage of the gate or boarding. As always, this will still be a thorough review, and let's now look at some tips in selecting the right seat. The window seats offer the most privacy, however, to get to the window seats you need to pass through a small gap which is about 13 inches. This might affect the larger passengers getting to the seat. Next, if you are a taller passenger and plan to sleep on the flight, you might want to avoid seats 1A and 1K, as these are marginally restricted down to the curvature of the plane. Next, if you are travelling in pairs, the middle seats are ideal as these are perfectly in line with each other, meaning you don't need to lean forward or back to talk to each other. The front rows are near the toilet and the back rows are near the galley, which might cause a bit of noise and disturbance as people try and move from one side of the aircraft to the other. Finally, this brings us to row 3. Row 3 is actually missing a window, which might help some people sleep, but I prefer having the extra window. And here's a short clip just to show you what it looks like. I chose seat 2A, which I think is the best seat. It's a window seat which has 3 windows, and let's do a quick seat tour. Waiting at your seat will be a pillow, and in front will be a 22-inch IFE. On the right there will be some storage for like water bottles and a literature holder. Just above that are some controls, and just above that is your in-flight entertainment controller. During the flight you can use these buttons to raise the privacy divider to make your suite very private. I'll show you the tray table later, but on my left armrest are some further seat controls. As you can see, the suite lacks storage space, but you do have overhead bins. In front is an ottoman which can act as an extra seat for someone to dine with you. Underneath the ottoman is some storage space. You have a reading light above your seat, but no individual air vent. The boarding service began with the crew handing out a hot or cold towel, some dates, and of course Arabic coffee, as well as champagne. The champagne served is Charles de la Roche, which retails for approximately $40 US. You guys know I'm a big fan of champagne, and I would put this at the low to medium range. I was quite impressed with the boarding and pre-departure service. It wasn't long before they played the safety demonstration video and we were ready for takeoff. We were due to depart at 4 PM, however there was severe rain and storms. The Thailand airport control stopped all flights for a period, which meant that our flight got delayed by 1.5 hours. Another point which I think is well worth mentioning is when I booked this flight, it was originally from Bangkok to Bahrain, Bahrain to London. However, about 2 months after my booking, I received an email from the airline which then said that the flight is going from Bangkok to Singapore, Singapore to Bahrain, Bahrain to London. The flight number which represented the Bangkok to Bahrain leg was also the same flight number from Bangkok to Singapore, Singapore to Bahrain, which indicated that we'll be boarding the same aircraft at Singapore. On arrival at Singapore, all passengers which were connecting on to Bahrain were asked to disembark the aircraft and take all of their belongings with them. We were then asked to go through 2 security checkpoints at Singapore where you have to remove your liquids, laptops and so forth. That was quite troublesome and had no time to actually rest. Shortly after takeoff, the smell of food was in the air. I was pleased about this as I wasn't sure if they would serve food as the flight from Bangkok to Singapore is very short. The tray table is located in the panel next to your privacy divider. The tray table is sturdy and slides back and forward. The tray table also swivels to the side, allowing you to leave your seat during meal service. In 2006 at the SkyChefs Awards, Gul Air picked up an award for the best onboard catering in first class for the 3rd year running and also came second in business class. Naturally, I was excited to try the food. Here's a look at the special meals options available. As usual, I pre-booked a vegan meal. If you do have a dietary requirement, I recommend that you click on the drop-down menu on the right so that you can read the description for each item. Note that there were 2 options for vegan vegetarian at the bottom, but only the top one specified no meat, fish or dairy. So I selected the top option, and as a starters I received some fruit and vegetarian spring rolls. Being in Falcon Gold, I would have expected a slightly bigger portion in fruit with more variety. I would say the spring rolls were average, nothing special. If you didn't pre-book a special meal, then the cabin crew would come round and ask you if you'd like a choice of either a cheese sandwich, salmon sandwich or chicken sandwich.
Hello. No, thank you.
The in-flight entertainment controller pops out by pushing this button and pulling it towards you. Language options include French, Dutch, English and what I think is Arabic at the top. Although the crew hand out paper menus, you can use this device to look at the menus in advance. This menu is from Singapore to Bahrain. You can also use this device the way you want. You can either choose to watch your programs on this device or push the button to stream them on the main screen ahead of you. You could also choose to watch some program on the main screen ahead of you and use this device, for example, to look at the route map. It's fairly easy to use. As you select entertainment, you'll see the heading entertainment at the very top, followed by a subheading which is movies, and then you can change that to whatever category you wish. Here's a quick skim through the kids menu, but as usual, here's a look at comedies. In terms of the headphones, I would say they were quite comfortable, but average quality. More importantly, they were clean and they come with earpiece covers for added protection. The in-flight entertainment screen is 22 inches and is one of the largest in the industry. I feel the quality is good and I've put on a cartoon just to demonstrate the colour spectrum, brightness and clarity. We're now approaching Singapore, where we all have to disembark and reboard the aircraft. When we reboarded the aircraft, the crew came and sat down to go through the next meal option.
I will sit with you so I can explain with you what we have.
Okay,
So
sure.
first of all, would you like to drink something before your food, sir?
It's probably just a whiskey.
Just a whiskey. It's
Yeah,
like
it's-
on rocks or
No neat.
no, just nuts.
Just whiskey and some nuts.
Some nuts, sure.
Yes, please.
Sure.
It's Chivas Regal.
Yep, sir. Sure. So we'll have whiskey for your food, okay. And for the starter, we have the roast garlic and mushroom soup, and we have the smoked salmon salad, and we have the Caesar salad, sir.
So I had ordered a vegan meal beforehand.
Vegan
Yeah, beforehand. Is it?
Okay, sure.
Is it? Is it on your list?
Sure. I'll just make sure and I'll let
Okay.
you know, sure? Okay. For the dessert, we will pass in the cabin with the trolley and you can choose whatever you need.
Yep.
Okay, and shall I wake you up for the second service, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We have some fruits, and then asparagus, tomato, and avocado. And then this is small beef, so it's sauced with beef. I don't know how we call this one in English.
I'll tell you after when I taste it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So can I clear that tray, or would you like to keep it?
I'm happy to just have the main course there, but
When
if it's easier, you want to take a tray, whatever is easy for you.
This is where it all went wrong. As you guys know, I'm 99% blind and so rely on the airlines to ensure that they provide the correct vegan meal that I pre-ordered, and for the crew to bring that out and sometimes describe the meal to me. On this occasion, they brought out a quiche, and obviously I can't see what I'm eating. I ate a few bites of this quiche and then realised it's not actually vegan. The airline's very lucky that I don't actually suffer from any allergies, otherwise this could have been disastrous. In terms of the taste of the quiche, I have had quiche before being vegan, and this quiche was very nice. This was the first issue. The second issue was I wasn't given pyjamas like every other passenger when reboarding at Singapore. I requested pyjamas after my meal and was given an extra large size, as this was the only size left.
So when I checked, we only have extra large size here.
Okay.
As this size was going to be too big, I returned the pyjamas back to the crew and decided when I reboard at Bahrain on my flight to London, I will ask the crew for pyjamas and hopefully I'll get my size straight away. The lavatory was a good size and I liked the blue ambient lighting, it was very calming. The lavatory was also quite clean and there were some amenities for you to use. This lavatory is different to those found on many airlines as it comes with a high-tech bidet function. We're now approaching Bahrain, and as the flight was severely delayed, I didn't have any time to go visit the lounge. Instead, I had to go through security and board the next aircraft. So here's a few clips just to show you what the new lounge looks like in Bahrain Airport. As you can see, there are plenty of seating options and the lounge looks nice, but the highlights have to be the games area, which includes a pool table, video games, and they also have a theatre room. Let's fast forward again, and I'm back on board and I've been given my pyjamas. This is a large size and they remind me of Qatar Airways pyjamas. They're quite soft and comfortable. Whilst the top was a good size, the bottoms were slightly too long. You were also given a pair of slippers, and apologies for the poor lighting on this clip. I thought that the slippers were quite thin, but good enough to use around your seat. I chose to use my trainers when visiting the lavatory. The amenity kit has a nice front cover design, and I don't think it uses leather material, which I'm happy about. In terms of what it stocks, I think it's average across the industry. Comes with face and hand moisturiser, lip balm, mouthwash, dental kit, eye socks and eye shades. A few years ago, Gul Air introduced Wi-Fi on board many of their aircrafts. Disappointingly, there's no complimentary Wi-Fi. Whether you're in Falcon Gold or Economy, the price remains the same. However, $15 for unlimited access is not too bad. When the seat is converted into a bed, it's actually quite nice and wide, as you can see. So there's plenty of space for you to move around in terms of your shoulders. I found the bedding to be quite low quality. The blanket would be very thin, and so is the pillow. I recommend you try and get a second pillow as soon as you board. The other issue is at the end of the bed it dips down a little and there's a gap between the ottoman and the end of the bed. Most people won't notice the dip or the gap at the end of the bed, and so won't bother them. If you are tall, this is a very good option for you as the suite is long and you have extra space at the end where the ottoman is to put your feet. Just remember, if you are going to bend your knees, to put the tray table away. You can also ask the cabin crew to do a turn down service if you're flying in Falcon Gold on an overnight flight. As I went to change into the pyjamas, I saw the cabin crew chit-chatting to each other, so I asked them to make up the bed for me, which they did, but it took them half an hour. My tray table's out and ready as I could hear the cabin crew starting the meal service. There are little things that Gul Air can improve on. For example, on the previous flight they asked me what I'd like to drink with my main meal. On this flight they didn't ask, they just brought a glass of water with the meal. As Gul Air didn't provide me with a vegan meal on my previous flight as requested, I didn't think this was vegan, so I didn't eat it. At this point, I'd been travelling for about 17 to 18 hours and had almost nothing to eat. The crew very kindly offered to make me a salad, which I really appreciated. However, it felt like there was half a bottle of ketchup thrown on top, which made it taste disgusting.
We have now commenced our descent. In preparation for landing, seatbelts, including infant seatbelts, must be fastened.
I was so happy to hear that we began our descent into London, which is my home, as I knew that I'd be eating soon. It'd been around 20 hours now, which I hadn't eaten, and I was starving. I'm now going to summarise this flight, and I'm also going to mention a few things which I didn't earlier. I'm going to then score this flight, and I'd ask you to drop a comment and tell me what you would score this flight based on my summary. We'll start with service. Overall, I thought the cabin crew were quite nice and friendly. However, I faced four main issues. The first was on the flight between Singapore and Bahrain, where the gentleman sat with me to go through the meal options. He said he would check on my vegan meal and get back to me, which he never did. The second issue was, at Singapore, again I wasn't given pyjamas until I requested it after the meal, which meant I lost my size. The third issue relates to boarding at Bahrain. The attendant at the door, despite arriving in a wheelchair holding a cane in my hand, failed to recognise that I can't see to find my own seat. When I asked him where's my seat, he asked me to wait for 5 minutes while everyone else boarded. Eventually, I told him I'll find my own seat as it's the same seat as my previous flight. The last point relates to the crew making me wait 30 minutes to make up my bed whilst they talk to each other. I thought this was quite a long time to wait on a 6-hour flight. In terms of food, the airline failed to provide me with the vegan meal I'd requested in advance. In terms of the hard product, I love the size of the suite and that everyone has aisle access. However, there is a clear lack of storage. You'd either have to grab something under the ottoman or from the overhead bin. The second issue relates to the IFE. It's a great size, being 22 inches, but it would be nice if there were a few more Western options, particularly in movies and comedies. The final point relates to the bed and bedding. I found the bedding to be too thin for a comfortable sleep, and I wasn't particularly comfortable with the dip in the bed and the gap at the end between the ottoman and the bed. So, based on this summary and what you saw on this flight, drop a comment and tell me what you would score Gul Air on this flight. I would score the service a 2 out of 5, food was 0 out of 5, and the hard product a 3 out of 5. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Next week we'll be looking at the Renaissance Hotel in London. See you then.